Before we get started, I'd like to congratulate Yvonne Sidlick on a successful election and joining this council team. Thank you for putting your name forward and dedicating your time with us and for the town of Bonnyville for the next 3 years, the remainder of this term. But before we get started, we'll ask you to come forward for an official swearing in, please. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here we go.
So you want me to read this?
Yes,
And
I
a
do
hand on the
want you to
Bible,
read
that's it, okay. I, Yvonne Sidlick of the town of Bonnyville in the province of Alberta, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of counselor, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, congrats. All right, so as we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nation and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nation, Métis, and all First People of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. All right, so council, before us, we have all our appointments have been circulated, our committee appointments. You would have received the spreadsheet today with your appointments, and I'm just want to open up the floor to any feedback or questions on what was circulated. Councillor Sharoon.
Yes, and Madam Mayor, through to administration, thank you. Under the Bonnyville and District Leisure Facility Corporation, it should read Mayor +2 and scratch out the alternate, and then move my name from alternate to rep number 3. And the same with Bonnyville Regional Fire Authority, Mayor +2, and then my name should go from the alternate, move it to rep number 3. And due to some scheduling commitments, Councillor Sidlick has offered to take over the LICA instead of me.
Okay.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other conversation? Councillor Kushner?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through to Councillor Sharoon and administration. The Alberta Lakeland Destination Marketing Organization. Councillor Sharoon, I think you're going to be the alternate there then, and I'm going to be the rep. Is that correct?
Yes, Councillor Kushner, that
Okay.
is correct.
Okay, that's the only thing I have. Thanks.
Okay. Any other changes to the appointments as they've been circulated? Seeing none? Okay.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for Cold Lake First Nations Tourism Strategy Group, we've also moving Councillor Kushner onto that as well as Mayor +2.
Councillor Kushner, we did have you listed, but it was missed on this, was the Cold Lake First Nation Tourism Strategy Group. Do you accept?
I do.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, CAO Winfrey. All right, so on the agenda, do we want a couple different motions on the books? One for the standing committees, one for the interjurisdictional committee?
If we could, Madam Mayor, that'd be perfect for
Okay.
the headers. We don't need to go through each one individually.
Pardon me?
We don't need to go through each board individually, just the head, like the.
Right, okay, so we'll look for the first motion for the standing committees, if I can have a motion approving those appointments, please. Councillor Langridge.
I will move the approval of the first committees there, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next, motion for the interjurisdictional committees. If I can get a motion to approve those appointments, please. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make that motion for the interjurisdictional committees. Hard time talking to.
All in favor? Carried. Next, a motion for the ad hoc committees as presented, please. Counselor Sharoon,
I will move the ad hoc committees as presented.
all in favor? Carried. Next, the community partnership committees. Counselor Kushner,
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I will make that motion.
all in favor? Carried. All right, and that brings us to the end of the organizational meeting. Just a motion to adjourn this meeting, please. Counselor Blanchette.
I'll move adjournment.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, now moving into regular council meeting for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. Before us, we have an agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is a suggestion from administration to move 7A and B before 5B for discussion before passing the bylaw numbers 165-26/2026 rates of taxation.
Okay, so council, we're moving the budget items, 7A, B, to come before the bylaw items. So there's two items there that would move up. Any questions? No? All right, so we'll look for a motion to approve the amended agenda. Counselor Kushner,
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I will ask for the motion of the agenda as amended.
all in favor? Carried. Next, we have the meeting minutes from April 7th, 2026. Were there any changes, additions, deletions to those minutes? Seeing none, motion to approve those minutes. Counselor Blanchett,
I'll move the minutes of April 7th as presented.
all in favor? Carried. Okay, moving right along into Municipal Planning Commission. If I can get a motion to move into MPC, please. Counselor Johnson,
I'll make the motion to go into MPC.
all in favor? That's carried. Okay. MPC, call that meeting to order. Before us, we have an agenda. Any changes to that agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any changes at this time. I would also just ask administration if that's correct. Correct. Yeah, we do not have any amendments at this time.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda. Counselor Sidlick,
I will make that motion.
thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the meeting minutes from March 24th, 2026. Were there any changes to those minutes as presented? Okay, motion to approve those minutes then, please. Can I have a motion? Counselor Johnson, all in favor? Carried. All right. First item, development permit, proposed development permit 26-D0015. Who's looking after this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll pass this over to planning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Administration is presenting a development permit application 26-D0015, which requests variances related to an existing dwelling and a recent constructed deck. Municipal records indicate that the dwelling was constructed in 1975, and at the time of construction, the required minimum side yard setback was 5 feet or 1.52 meters. The dwelling was built with a side yard setback of 4 foot 2 inches or 1.27 meters. As a result, the dwelling does not meet current minimum required setbacks and is considered non-conforming. In its state, this non-conformity could restrict future additions to the dwelling and may also limit reconstruction's options in the event of damage or destruction, such as a fire. The applicant is requesting a side yard variance to recognize the dwelling as legal non-conforming. One adjacent landowner had indicated that the dwelling was constructed in this manner to satisfy the town inspector at the time. This explanation is consistent with the situation where the side yard deficiency was identified during construction. Based on the measurements provided, the variance being requested for the dwelling represents a 16.4% reduction from the side yard setback. In addition to the dwelling setback issue, the applicant had constructed a front deck that extends 2.57 meters from the front of the dwelling. Due to the location of the deck on site, the end of the deck is situated 0.22 meters or 8 and 11/16 inches from the southwest property line. Under the current land use bylaw, there are no provisions that allow projections into the front yard setback. And had the owner applied to replace the front steps with a deck, this nonconformity would likely have been identified and addressed at the time. The deck was installed without consultation with the municipality and without the required permits. Two deficiencies are being requested for the front deck. First, that the side yard variance, the end of the deck is located 0.22 meters from the property line, which represents an 85.3% variance from the side yard setback. Second, the front yard variance, the deck encroaches into the front yard setback up to 2.47 meters, representing a 67.1% variance. Under typical circumstances, a front yard encroachment does not impact side yard setbacks. In this case, however, the extent of the front yard encroachment directly reduces the side yard setback. Because the deck is located only 0.22 meters from the southwest property line, access to the area south of the deck for maintenance must be gained from the rear yard, must be gained from the rear yard. The only alternative would require access from the neighboring property. Under Section 646 of the MGA, the Municipal Government Act, the Municipal Planning Commission may grant a variance if, in its opinion, the variance does not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood and the variance would not materially interfere or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels of land. In reviewing this application, administrative notes the following. The side yard setback variance for the dwelling relates to the original construction in 1975 and reflects an existing condition. Granting this variance would allow the dwelling to be recognized as a legal non-conforming and would reduce restrictions on future improvements or reconstruction while maintaining the established development pattern. The front deck was constructed without a development permit and does not comply with the land use bylaw. The requested deck variances are significant in magnitude and result in both front yard encroachment and substantial reduction of the side yard. The deck configuration limits maintenance access and may create long-term usability concerns and potential neighbor impacts. While front yard encroachments do not typically affect side yards, in this case, the front yard variance directly contributes to the side yard deficiency, creating a compounding effect. Through the adjacent landowner notification process, administration received two responses, one in support of the proposal and one in opposition. Photos showing the dwelling before and after the deck installation have been included in the attachments. Basement development part of the application is a permitted use, so there's no Municipal Planning Commission decision required for that portion of the application. The desired outcomes, with the applicant's desired outcome is the approval of the variances for both the dwelling and the front deck. Administration's preferred option is to grant the variance for the dwelling and require the front deck to be cut back to the pre-existing brick pillars of the front of the dwelling. This would improve accessibility to the entire front yard and reduce reliance on neighboring property for maintenance and access. There are four response options for the commission. There's the approve the application as submitted with conditions, approve the dwelling variance and require the front deck to be cut back, refuse the application with reasons, or defer the application to future meeting if additional information is required. It's administration's recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the 16.4% side yard variance on the existing dwelling, refuse the variances on the front deck, and have the front deck be cut back to the existing brick pillars with the supplied conditions. Also, should the commission choose to approve all requested variances, administration has provided an alternative conditions for the approval as outlined.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll open it up to council for questions or comments. Councillor Blanchette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just start it off. Through to administration, do we know when the deck was built and what led to this one coming to us now?
I believe the deck was built within the last 5 years. I think it was 2022. It was brought to our attention through a inquiry/complaint. from one of the neighboring properties.
Okay, thank you. And one more question right now, I think just for clarity. In the information, it indicates that a basement development is a permitted use and that it wouldn't be required to come to MPC. But then in the conditions that are listed in the recommendation, it indicates that the basement development will not be used as a secondary suite without approval from the municipality. It's my understanding that R1, we're allowed to have secondary suites as discretionary. Can you just provide a little bit of clarity as to that condition?
Yes, the discretionary, secondary suites are discretionary in the R1 zone. In this case, it was just being applied for as a basement development. And there's different requirements if it was a basement development or a basement suite.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not like a secondary suite's not being applied for.
Correct. It's just
Okay.
a basement development.
Excellent. Thank you. That's all my questions for now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments from council? We are looking for a decision. No? Okay. Oh, Councillor Langridge?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration now. The variance being requested on the house obviously is one that I don't take issue with due to it being built in 1975 and it coming to our attention at this point in time. That was quite a long time ago. As far as the front deck variance, now, does the front deck that was constructed, does it protrude past the roof line or not?
Yes, it appears it does.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, so, and you mentioned in your report that to get into, to have access to the deck, you either have to use the backyard or you have to go through the neighbor's yard.
The way it's a pie-shaped lot, so with the deck being 8 inches on the property line here, there's this a triangular section of lawn that was only accessible either through the backyard or you'd have to go over the neighbor's property.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking also like long-term here, whether the neighbors, you know, are in agreement. I don't know which one is in agreement and which one isn't, but we have to look at long-term should situations change, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Blanchette?
Thank you. I think I probably know the answer to this based on the staff recommendation, but through to administration, is it your opinion that granting the variance related to the deck is in contravention of the MGA?
No, because we're granting the variance on the house. Because the house is non-conforming, we can't add to the house. But by bringing it into compliance with the variance, then additions and variances on decks can be approved.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? No? All right, we are looking for Councillor Langridge.
Sorry, just one more question as I'm looking through. Do we, in the package provided, we have a photo here with a timestamp of 2021. We thinking the deck was built prior to 2021?
Well, I got all the photos from our assessors from that far back.
I believe it was, part of this was in the responses that we got, Joe, the last page.
I believe it was about 2020, 2021 it was built. 21.
Okay, thank you.
All right, council. There's no other questions, comments. We are looking for a decision on this request. What say you, council? All right, I will, Counselor Langridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So before I make the motion, I guess my stance on it would be I'm in favor of the staff recommendation, only simply to, I'm concerned about the precedent that would be set. If we continue to have builders build anything in our community with no permits, and then they continue to come here and ask for essentially forgiveness on, so this to me goes back to whoever the builder was, like this has got to go back onto them. Unfortunately, it's in front of us now. But if we continue to, you know, and we haven't done it in the past, but if we continue to say, hey, don't worry about it, we'll get you next time, and that's going to be the issue that we come up in front of. So I'm willing to go with staff recommendation and make that motion, simply not to set that precedent. That's just my thoughts, and that motion will stand if nobody else wants to.
Okay. Any questions before the motion? Counselor Kushner?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So through to administration, what is our policy on something that's been built that does not meet specs? Like how can, so through to what Councillor Langridge was saying, that we have these builders that are coming forward and building things, or people building things without getting the proper permits. What is the ramifications of that from administration?
They get penalized when they do apply for their permits.
Okay, so were they penalized in this case?
That is, yes, they were.
They are. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. Any questions on the motion? All right, I'll call the motion to question. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. All right, and we'll get a motion to adjourn MPC and move back into regular meeting. Counselor Kushner.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? That's carried. Okay, I just need to find where we're at here. Okay. We're doing operating budget. Yeah, 2026 final operating budget. Who would like to speak on that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Irene?
Hello. The proposed 2026 final operating budget has been revised to reflect changes that have occurred since the passage of the interim budget in December. The transfer from the operating reserve required to balance the interim operating budget was $607,130 and has now decreased to $408,956. The 2026 final operating budget totals $35,943,084. Significant changes from the interim budget include municipal taxes. There is a 2% residential tax dollar increase and a tax rate of 1.7 times the residential tax rate for non-residential properties, for a total municipal tax revenue estimate of $9,604,496. The school tax requisition has increased by $151,718, and this results in an increase in actual school tax for residential properties of 3.77% and an increase in actual school tax for non-residential properties of 7.19%. Based on the residential assessments for school tax purposes, the residential school tax mill rate will decrease by 0.55%, and the non-residential school tax mill rate will increase by 0.82%. Other changes to note: under all departments, there have been insurance premiums decreases. Utilities have increased to reflect 2025 consumption rates. The asset retirement accretion expense has decreased. Contributions to reserve have been adjusted in all departments to reflect actual equipment purchases for the equipment replacement reserve. There is an increase in the school requisition, a decrease in the Lakeland Lodge and Housing requisition, as well as an increase in the requisition for designated industrial properties. Under general government services, there is an increase in property tax penalties to reflect actuals to date, as well as an increase in the seniors' taxi subsidy to reflect the usage rates. Under general government services grants, there is an addition of a contribution from reserve and an increase in ad hoc grants to include the carryover for the beautification program. Under administration, there is an increase in training and mileage to reflect actual training scheduled, an increase in cost to complete the by-election, an increase in contracted costs to include grant writing, a decrease in the janitorial contract, an increase in computer programming to reflect a Microsoft update, an increase in service agreements due to an IT upgrade. Under police, the janitorial contract has decreased. Under fire, there's the inclusion of a transfer from reserve to offset the increased cost for this fire services contract, and a decrease in building repair and maintenance as the building is now vacant. Under ambulance, there was a decrease in building repair and maintenance as the building is only partially occupied. For bylaws, there's an increase in dog and cat licenses to reflect actuals, an increase in materials also to reflect prior year's actuals. Under the 911 services contract, it has been decreased because it is over in the fire contract. Under town shop, there's an increase in equipment repair and maintenance and fuel and oil to reflect rising costs. Under transportation, there's an increase in employment program funding based on our approval for the Canada Summer Jobs Grant, an increase in contribution from reserves to offset the cost of snow removal, and also an increase in contracted costs for snow removal. Under water distribution, there's a decrease in contracted costs to reflect actuals, a decrease in the purchase of water from Cold Lake, and that's based on 2025 consumption. And there's an increase in association fees and subscriptions, and that's based on updated costs for 2026. Sanitary sewer, there's an increase in wastewater revenue, that's based on 2025 consumption rates. Sewer disposal has an increase in contracted costs for the inclusion of a septage classification program. Landfill and transfer station, we have increased overtime based on 2025 actuals. FCSS, there's the budget has been reallocated to reflect its operations. The Family Resource Network, both hub and spoke, the budget was also reallocated to reflect operations until June. Community programs, budgets reallocated to reflect carryover from 2025. And new programs are grants for new programs for social prescribing, home support, and Seniors Expo. Planning and development has an increase in revenue for other permits to reflect prior year's actuals. Contribution from reserve and corresponding expense for the carryover of the demolition grant program. Economic development has an increase in salary and benefits for the inclusion of an economic development officer position, and an increase in conference costs to reflect actuals. Subdivision and land development has a contribution from reserve and corresponding expense for the carryover of the Build Bonnyville and multi-unit incentive programs. There's a decrease in recreation building repair and maintenance for the Nelson Lumber Building. The pool has the inclusion of an approved position under Canada Summer Jobs. Under parks, there is an increase in casual wages and benefits for the inclusion of an additional summer student, and a decrease in revenue from Canada Summer Jobs based on the positions that were approved. Programs there's a contribution from reserve for Festival of Trees for 2025, and decrease in community event expenses with a reallocation of those funds for Canada Day. Library has an increase in building repair and maintenance for the entrance repair. The Handy Bus has an increase in revenue for Handy Bus rentals to reflect prior year actuals. And under contingency, there's an increase in revenue and expenses for ID 349 funding based on the prior year, and the decrease in the drawn from operating reserve to balance the 2026 budget. Administration is recommending that Council approve the 2026 operating budget as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this budget as it's presented? Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through the administration, can you explain, so in the municipal taxes, we approved a 2% residential tax dollar increase, but yet in here on page 87, it says residential property tax will increase by approximately 0.5%. So it just doesn't jive. So if you could explain how you get to those numbers.
Thank you. Through to Councillor Kushner. If assessments have not changed year over year, so this is based on a $500,000 assessment that would have been in 2025, and again in 2026, exactly the same, you would only see a tax increase of 0.5%. A 2% overall tax increase on all residential properties equals about $89,000. When you factor in the increase in assessments, and not every residential assessment increase, but when you factor that in, that brings it to, for the $500,000 amount, brings it to only a 0.5. Some people may see less than 0.5 or even a negative. Some people might see 12% increase. And I do have scenarios in the tax rate bylaw that shows different, for example, all of council sitting around, what that effect will do to your actual taxes.
So it really has to do a lot with the assessments then, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, seeing none, we are looking for a motion. Sorry, Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll make a motion that council approve the 2026 operating budget as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, the 2026 final capital budget.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 2026 final capital budget has a total cost of $23,617,763 and is a balanced budget. Future grant revenue is anticipated to be $1,597,310 per year, and that includes the Local Government Fiscal Framework and Canada Community Building Fund. The proposed 2026 final capital budget includes the changes from the interim capital budget. Total revenue for capital projects for 2026 includes $5,107,095 in grant funding, $12,825,227 in transfers from reserve, $601,441 for debenture funding, and $84,000 from local improvement tax revenue. All of the carryover projects that were not complete in 2025 have been included in this draft of the capital budget, as well as the corresponding revenue to pay for those projects. Changes from the interim budget include increase the amount for branding initiatives, the purchase of a water truck, deferral of Highway 28 tree planting project, deferral of rodeo grounds servicing for water, sewer, storm, deferral of swimming pool project to 2028 with updated costs, the inclusion of the recreation park design, inclusion of the Uptown Area Master Plan, demolishing the Nelson Lumber Building, and inclusion of costs to design a new library building. Administration is recommending that council approve the 2026 capital budget as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the capital budget? All right, Councillor Langridge.
More of a comment than a question, Madam Mayor. I mean, for those in attendance and as well listening online, so the budgeting process doesn't, you know, when you see these approvals coming through tonight, and there's not a lot of questions on it, but that budgeting process starts in August, September. Goes through a couple of drafts, and then as well passing an interim budget in December. And again, this month we had 2 meetings. So a lot of it is questioned and whittled down to make sure we're not pulling from our reserves constantly, which is a goal of this council's, and to make sure we can fight the inflationary pressures that are coming along. So I don't have any questions on it because we've gone over this in extent, Madam Mayor, but I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, we are looking for motion. Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have, mostly for the benefit of anyone watching or in attendance, something that we have been talking about even in our previous term was the swimming pool and how it was such a big project that we wanted to take on. Can you perhaps speak to how we got to deferring it to 2028 and provide a bit of an update?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to the councillor. With discussions that we've had over the last little while since I've got here last June, one of the high priorities of council through the sports and tourism strategy, as well as conversation, has been the topic of the swimming pool, as well as a few other projects. The priority on that was set due to some new findings on financial, where we're at with the financial dollars when it comes to a replacement pool for the coming years. So originally it was, I believe, quoted at around $51 million. And after altering the design and moving things around and changing it, we were able to get closer to a $20 million less mark. That's a little bit more conducive for the community and makes it more viable and attainable. So after looking at the financials and looking at the reserves and looking at the opportunities that we have before us, that we feel that within 3 years that's achievable. based on what we have for financial availability without having to go into large amounts of debenture to acquire a new facility. So right now, what we're trying to do is bring this back to council within the next 2 years with a solid game plan financially, but also provide a context of what that swimming pool would look like, and then also a footprint of and a location. So we have a few different opportunities and tangible achievements that we can get to in a short period of time, so to speak, within 3 years, because that isn't very it's not a very long period of time to get to that point. But more importantly, we're just looking at making sure that it's financially sound, so that we're making sound decisions when it comes to the finances. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are looking for a decision on this capital budget. Council? Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I will move that council approve the 2026 capital budget as presented.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. All right, now we are going to the temporary boring bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the March 10th council meeting, council approved bylaw number 1612-26, the temporary borrowing bylaw. This bylaw is required annually to allow for temporary borrowing for operations if necessary. The underwriters at ATB Financial review bylaw number 1612-26 and are requesting changes to the wording in section 1 with regard to the rate of interest charged. The current wording states that the interest is not to exceed 10% and such interest will be calculated daily and due and payable monthly on the last day of every month for both the revolving line of credit as well as the credit card. The amended wording that they are requesting states that the revolving line of credit interest will not exceed 10% in section 1A, and the credit card interest will not exceed 20% in section 1B. Administration is requesting that council provide all 3 readings to bylaw number 1614-26, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1612-26, the temporary borrowing bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through administration, how often do we use the line of credit and the credit card?
Through to Councillor Sharoon, the line of credit we have never used, and the credit card we use monthly, but we have never paid interest.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we're looking for all 3 readings this evening. First reading, Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will move that council provide first reading to bylaw number 1614-26, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1612-26, temporary borrowing bylaw.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. We're looking for second reading, please. Councillor Langridge.
I will move second reading, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to move into third and final reading, Councillor Kushner.
I'll make a motion that we proceed to third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for final reading. Councillor Johnson.
I'll provide third and final reading for bylaw number 164-26, a bylaw to amend 1612-26, temporary borrowing bylaw.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, 2026 rates of taxation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To process the assessment and tax notices, bylaw number 1615-26 has been drafted based on the operating and capital budgets that were presented earlier tonight. The 2026 operating budget and this bylaw will reflect an average residential municipal tax dollar increase of 2%, with the non-residential tax rate at 1.7 times the residential tax rate. Overall, the residential tax rate for properties has increased by 0.06025 mils due to several factors, which includes an increase to the provincial school requisition, a slight decrease in the seniors requisition, and the 2% municipal tax dollar increase. The overall multifamily residential tax rate has decreased by 2.35863 mils. That is due to the same factors as listed above, except there was a significant increase in multifamily assessments. The overall tax rate for non-residential properties has increased by 1.35847 mils due to an increase in the provincial school requisition, a slight decrease in the seniors requisition, and setting the non-residential tax rate at a ratio of 1.7 times the residential tax rate. Overall, the tax rate increase is 0.58% for residential, 8.43% for non-residential, and a decrease of 25.10% for multifamily residential. In 2025, bylaw number 1604-25 was passed, which would allow the residential assessment class to be divided into subclasses for the purpose of multifamily residential assessments. Multifamily residential properties are assessed based on income, much like a commercial property, but before 2020 have always been charged the same tax rate as residential property. Since then, the multifamily residential properties have had a separate tax rate, which is reflected in this bylaw. Based on a property with a $500,000 value in assessment, both residential and non-residential classes, the effective overall impact would be 0.05% for residential properties and 8.4% increase for non-residential properties. We have included detailed analysis of the impact of these tax rates on residential, multifamily, and non-residential properties for your information. We are asking that council provide all 3 readings to bylaw number 1615-26, the 2026 rates of taxation for the purpose of setting the tax rates for 2026.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for administration? Oh, all right, Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, I just have one. I don't know if this is the place to ask it or should have asked it before. So we have linear taxation for ATCO Electric and AltaGas. What about the linear taxation for the TELUS with our fiber optics and lines? I never see that come across our council chair, so I was just curious about that.
Through to Councillor Sharoon, yes, we do have linear assessment taxation for gas, power, telecommunications, and there's different assessment classes for those, and those are the ones that also get the designated industrial property tax requisition rate from the province.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Okay, we're looking for all 3 readings on this bylaw. First reading, Councillor Kushner.
Thanks. I will introduce and ask for first reading for bylaw 1615-26.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for second reading? Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will move second reading for the same bylaw.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion to move into third and final reading, please. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make the motion to proceed into third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for final reading. Councillor Sharoon.
I will move that council approve the final reading for the bylaw 1615-26.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. All right. The financial report for March.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is the monthly financial report for March 2026. The financial report consists of the bank reconciliation statement, which shows bank balances of $27,172,056. It also includes the operating budget financial report, the capital budget financial report, and the capital project listing to date. We are asking that council accept the March 2026 financial report as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on these, Councillor Kushner?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, a few. So page 62, 590, so 4,590. Miscellaneous income. We're at minus 2,150%. What is that?
So currently, right up until I think this month, we were helping Elizabeth Settlement with their water contract, water treatment plant. So that's the revenue that we received from that.
Okay, thank you. And then a little bit further down on 5100-920. So explain to me, drawn on function operating and contributed to overall operations. What does that mean?
That is the FCSS surplus. That's been from 2023, 2024, and 2025.
Okay. And do I have another one? Let me see here. 76. And then for 5401-200, page 76. Again, we're at 6784 on the percentage.
Sorry, what is that under?
Uh,
What page number?
Page 76,
Okay, sorry. I
Yeah.
don't see my Page numbers now.
yeah, and then contracted costs.
So that is expenses under the FRN program for contracted costs. I would have to contact Rhonda to find out more information on why, the reason for that one to be over budget.
Yeah, yeah, those negative numbers always throw me.
And I know with the FRN program, it has been extended until June. So the budget amounts were up until the end of March, but that program just received extension to the end of June.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? All right. We're looking for a motion to approve the finance report for March. Counselor Sidlick,
I will move that council accept the March 2026 financial reports as presented.
thank you. All in favor? That's carried. All right, let's move on to business. Cancellation of the May 19th GNP committee meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we are looking for the governance parties scheduled for May 9th, or sorry, May 19th. However, both Chief Administrative Officer and the General Manager of Corporate Services will be attending conferences and will be unavailable during that week. And as such, as required, the CAO or the General Manager of Corporate Services is important to support the committee's work, provided administrators oversight, and address any operational or strategic matters that may arise during the meeting. The recommendation from administration is that the Governance and Priorities Committee meeting scheduled for May 19th be canceled at this time.
Any questions? No? All right, we're looking for a motion then, please. Counselor Schroen, Kushner.
The gray hairs. The gray hairs set you off. I would make the motion that we cancel governance priorities for the May 19th.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, property tax write-offs.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Designated manufactured homes located in a designated manufactured home park such as Sportsman Park receive an assessment and tax notice for the improvement, which is the mobile home, annually. Recently, administration has been notified that 2 mobile homes are no longer in the park as they have moved out. As these properties are no longer located in the park and the town has no forwarding address for the owners of these mobile homes, administration is recommending that the taxes currently owed on the properties be written off. If approved, $1,387.94 will be written off to tax as bad debts. We are recommending that council direct administration to write off $1,387.94 for the properties located in Sportsman Park that have moved out.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Counselor Blanchett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to administration, can you walk us through the process or what the intended process is for when homes move in and out of the mobile home park? Or what they should be from your perspective?
Currently, when a mobile home moves into the park manager notifies us, or if they move out, they notify us. There are times when they aren't notified that they've moved out, and sometimes they're caught, off guard as well. And then when they do, they let us know, and stuff like this happens. We are looking at ways to try to mitigate these instances. For these 2 properties, they were already on our tax recovery list, so there are liens registered with personal property registry. So if there's any time they're ever going to be used as collateral in the future or anything, we will be listed to contact as a secured party.
Excellent, thank you. I guess my thought is that's something that we could work on capturing in some sort of a bylaw or something that that would allow us to have an entity assuming responsibility for this, because moving in the middle of the night sounds great if you want to avoid taxes, but anyway, that's all from me.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right, we're looking for a motion. So, Counselor Schroen.
Yes, $1,300 that we're writing off for taxes for the whole year is an excellent job considering the amount of taxation we work with every year. So kudos to administration and thank you for working on a solution, because it's come to our table now for the 5th year in a row here. So hopefully we can get something and working better with the managers of the trailer park. So Based on that, I'll direct administration to write off the 1387 and 94 cents for the property located in Sportsman Mobile Home Park that have moved.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, ratifying a decision to participate in the Northeast Region 47th Annual Golf Day in Barhead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I will give Renee a break here from speaking. And I would just like to also say thanks a lot, Renee, for all the hard work you put into all of those items tonight. The North Central Regional Annual Golf Day that brings together elected officials, municipal staff, provincial staff, consultants, and contractors. The event is well attended and is recognized as a valuable opportunity for intergovernmental and intermunicipal relationship building. The 2026 event will follow the Texas Scramble Best Ball format with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Participation is limited to 144 golfers, and the event is historically fills quickly. Council was previously circulated via email, and a majority of council members agreed that the registration of participants in the tournament. A formal council motion is now required to ratify this decision. Update for April 17th, administration sent an email to hold spots for the town of Bonneville, and unfortunately the tournament was already sold out. Mr. Bothros had added the town to the waiting list, and as such, we were asking that council ratify the decision to register up to 4 golfers to attend the North Region 47th Annual Golf Tournament in Barhead on June 19, 2026. Should we be advised that we are approved of the current waiting list for registration?
Okay, just looking for a motion to ratify the decision. Please. Anybody? Councillor Kushner?
I will make a motion that we ratify the decision that we made earlier regarding this motion, or this, what would you call it? Event. Thank you.
Thanks. All in favor? Carried. Another ratification for a letter of support, Trans-Canada Trail Designation Extension.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. February 11, 2026, the town of Bonneville received a request from Alberta's Iron Horse Trail on behalf of the Riverland Recreational Trail Society seeking a letter of support for the application to extend the Trans-Canada Trail designation. The proposed extension would extend the TCT designation west of village of Wetaskiwin and from the Albertine Junction to the city of Cold Lake. At approximately 98 kilometers of Trans-Canada Trail network and include regionally significant attractions such as the Beaver River, Moose Lake, and historic Trestle. Due to the application timelines, the request was circulated to council by email, and council members provide approval electronically, authorizing the administration to issue the letter of support. The letter was subsequently signed off by the Chief Administration Officer, myself, and submitted to the Trans-Canada Trail Organization. Recommendation that council ratify this email approving authorization for administration to issue the letter of support for the River Recreational Trail Society application to extend the Trans-Canada Trail designation along the Alberta Iron Horse Trail.
Okay. Thank you. Just looking for a motion to ratify previous decision. Councillor Johnson?
I'll make that motion to ratify the email that was circulated earlier for the Riverland Recreational Trail Society's application.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. I didn't realize Councillor Language has a question. Is that?
Yep, that's fine.
Just a
Thank
question on the motion, Madam Mayor, but just through to administration on this one. If with this possible designation, would it create any, not knowing what the impact or the abilities of being designated the Trans-Canada Trail, would there be any impact on us in the future in regards to extending water lines or doing any construction on that existing rail bed if it's designated under a, like, I'm not sure if this is a federal program or what, but would this cause any issues for us on that front?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. I would have to find out more information on that. I'm not 100% sure at this time, so I'd have to get back to you on that if that's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So, motion on the table to ratify the decision already made by council through email. On the table, stands? Okay. Are you okay with that? I know. Well, that's why I want to make sure. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, letter of support for the Lakeland Society for Truth and Reconciliation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Lakeland Society for Truth and Reconciliation requested a letter of support from the town of Bonnyville to move forward with the Truth and Reconciliation Healing Gardens that is a proposed community-led initiative that aims to create a dedicated gathering and reflection space grounded in respect, learning, and cultural awareness. The project is envisioned as a place for residents and visitors to engage with the histories, cultures, and contributions of First Nations and Métis people. The initiative aligns with broader municipal values of inclusion, reconciliation, and community well-being, as well as Truth and Reconciliation of Canada's calls to action relating to education, commemoration, and public awareness. Council support is being requested in principle only if in the form of a formal letter that may accompany grant and funding applications. The recommendation that Council direct administration to draft a letter of support for the Lakeland Society of Truth and Reconciliation and Healing Gardens.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for administration? No? Okay, seeing none. We are looking for a motion to, or direction. You don't need a motion.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, we will need a motion to provide a letter of support from the town of Bonnyville.
Okay. Council, do you want to make that motion? Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would make a motion that council direct administration to draft a letter of support for the Lakeland Society for Truth and Reconciliation's Healing Garden.
Okay, thanks. All in favor? Carried. All right, the 2026 Lac La Biche County Healthier Communities Golf Tournament.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is a letter from Lac La Biche Mayor, and I'm going to say his name wrong, so I'm just going to say Mayor Paul, inviting council to be a sponsor for the 2026 Healthier Communities Golf Tournament to be held on Thursday, July 16th, 2026 at Lac La Biche Golf and Country Club. The proceeds from the golf tournament will benefit the Lac La Biche Regional Health Foundation and Portage College for the future development of health care services and training in the region. Recommendation that council advise administration if they would like to sponsor this event, and if so, at what level of sponsorship.
Okay, thanks. Council, opening it up for discussion, questions, comments on this request. Through to administration, we've sponsored this in 2023. Do we know at what level our sponsorship was at that time?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this time, we don't have the answer to that question offhand. We could probably look it up later and get back to council.
Okay. I don't believe we've ever, I mean, this has come yearly, has been a request. I don't believe we've attended in the past. Might have been a sponsorship just for the tournament, but open to feedback to what council thinks if there is a benefit for us to attend. Yeah, Councillor Langridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for myself, I know we get a ton of invitations and they're all very worthy causes. But for me, just as we just passed a pretty significant budget with a lot of these events and our community stuff. So I would not be in favor of attending or sponsoring, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I would echo Councillor Langridge's sentiments. It definitely is for a good cause, but yeah, not sure if I'd be interested in attending myself, but council consensus around the table? Okay, all right. All right, so direction, we will not be attending.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will move along.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bonnyville Primary Care Network Notice of Service Closure and Redirection of Funds Request.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is an email from the Bonnyville Primary Care Network informing the town they have determined that there is not adequate funding, even with our $75,000 that we had for 2026, to keep the Bonnyville Child and Adolescent Mental Health Collaborative operating in a sustainable way. The email further requests that council consider the redirection of the $75,000 that was allocated to the CAMHC to the Hive Youth Hub by Kickstand to support youth mental health. A letter from the Hive, Bonnyville, is attached, also requesting redirection of these funds. In the attached letter from Bonnyville CAMHC, they provide a brief history of the program since its inception in 2016, appreciation to both the town and the MD for their longstanding commitment to the collaborative, and details of the service closure. The town has funded the CAMHC since 2016 at amounts varying from $25,000 to $75,000 annually. The town also provided funding to the Hive from 2021 to 2023 in amounts varying from $15,000 to $75,000 annually. The Hive has not requested funding from the town since 2023. Administration is recommending that council direct administration to request the Hive by Kickstand Bonnyville to appear before council as a delegation at a future council meeting to formally request the redirection of municipal funding prior to any decision being made regarding the reallocation of these funds.
Okay, thanks. Council, open it up for discussion, questions. Councillor Blanchett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to start off by acknowledging how unfortunate it is to see such an impactful program end. And I would add that it's not for lack of financial support or advocacy efforts on our part as a municipality. With respect to reallocating the $75,000, I would agree with the staff recommendation to keep in line with our practice of having organizations requesting support of this significance to appear before council and make themselves available to answer questions. And in addition, I would just like to confirm with administration that they would also be required to fill out the requisite grant stream paperwork and provide any supporting documents as they would if they had applied previously in the year.
That is correct.
Excellent, thank you. I'm happy to make that motion if there's no other discussion.
Any other, Councillor Kushner?
I don't think this is a surprise because when they did their presentation to us, that was in there. So that they might not get funding for this. So I don't see it as a big surprise. So and I don't have any problem inviting them here to talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to say as well that, you know, it is unfortunate that the province doesn't see the value in contributing to something that has such a significant impact on our local families. And I do want to thank council and administration for the support that, you know, we've given them over the past few years, because we have seen the value and trying to get them to a place where they could be sustainable. So it is unfortunate, not surprised, but at the same time, you know, not a good thing for our local families. But Councillor Blanchett, you have a motion? Do you want to put that motion forward?
Yeah, I'll move the staff recommendation that administration requests the Hive by Kickstand Bonnyville to appear before council as a delegation at a future council meeting to formally request the redirection of municipal funding prior to us making any decision regarding reallocation.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Next, funding request, Bonnyville and District Chamber of Commerce, your region, your voice.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is a sponsorship request from the Bonnyville Chamber requesting funding for the Your Region, Your Voice event. This event is being co-hosted by both the Bonnyville and Cold Lake Chambers and will bring together key leaders in the region, featuring a moderated discussion with questions from the audience. In accordance with policy number 24FN100, event sponsorships and donations, administration has authority to approve sponsorships up to a maximum of $1,500. Sponsorship levels exceeding this threshold require council approval. This event offers sponsorship tiers ranging from a regional ambassador sponsor in the amount of $1,000 up to a regional voice dinner sponsor, which is $10,000. Each sponsorship tier includes varying levels of recognition and engagement benefits, including, but not limited to, logo placement, social media exposure, premium reserve seating, and event recognition. The 2026 operating budget does include $15,000 for chamber-related projects or events, replacing the annual operating grant provided in previous years. Approval of sponsorship for the Your Region, Your Voice event would reduce this allocation by the amount corresponding to the sponsorship level approved by council. We are recommending that council provide direction regarding the sponsorship request for the Your Region, Your Voice event, and if approved, authorize administration to proceed with sponsorship at a council-approved level within the 2026 operating budget allocation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Or, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to add on there as well. One of the reasons why this is coming to council tonight is because of the uniqueness to the funds. Because we do have $15,000 in the budget earmarked for the chamber and the request for the sponsorship, it was a little bit of a difficult difficult decision from the administration side to use the policy in this instance, because we didn't really know where council would like to put the funds through the sponsorship programs for the chamber based on the conversations of last year. So that's why it wasn't followed through policy to go with the 1,500, and that's why it's before council today.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, just a couple of comments. I did speak to the executive director today. I was wondering if because we have gone through some administration changes there, it's been a challenge catching up and keeping on track. We had a strategic planning. There has been a whole lot of stuff going on in the last few months. So what I would like to see is not for us at this time to touch that $15,000, but because Your Region, Your Voice is going to be hosted in our Gen Mec Hall, I would like to see some representation from council attend this function. So perhaps if we could purchase a table, I believe it's a table for $1,000, and then we wouldn't have to touch that $15,000 commitment that we have allotted for them for their sponsorships for the year, and work more closely with the executive director on the approach for how we can get the best bang for our buck with the other funds that's allocated to them. So that would and that $1,000 through to administration would come out of not this 15,000, but we have another line item that we could take it from.
Through to Councillor Sharoon, yes, it would come out of the council receptions and public relations. Now, the $1,000 sponsorship, I just looked, it would be one ticket and one reserve seating.
Yeah, you need 1,500 to get a table. Yes, sorry. Yeah, so if you were looking at a table, I would agree, it'd be nice to have council attend. I wouldn't be prepared to go more than the 1,500. I think 1,500 gets us the acknowledgement that I think we deserve with the chamber that we haven't been getting in the past. So it does give us the business name acknowledgement in the printed program, which is good. And it also gives us a table with seating for 8.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would
Yeah.
agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. So that would be my sentiment. I'd be interested in sponsoring it, but for me, it'd be at the $1,500 level.
I agree with you, Madam Mayor. Yes, and again, because it is in Bonnyville, like I said, and you'll be one of the guest speakers along with some other champions in our community, it would be good there to be as support from our council.
Yeah. Any other or questions, discussion from council?
So just for clarity, this 1,500 would come out of the 15,000 we currently have budgeted.
No. Would it come out of our receptions?
That would be the line item that it would come out of, would be council receptions and public relations.
But for clarification, the budgeted amount of 15,000 has now changed to project sponsoring, or how do I say this? Yeah, it's not just 15,000 to operating. If they want part of that 15,000, they would have to come.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, it would be basically based on events that were specific that the council wanted to participate in a different way, I guess. So I guess the debate would be is if this is a sponsorship level, then it could come out of the council's other line item. If it's a direct to be a participant or a higher level capacity sponsor for a larger event, for example, then in a more meaningful impact way, then it could come out of the 15,000. Or the counter argument is that it could still just as general come out of the 15,000.
Okay. Councillor Langridge?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just going back to the staff recommendation here. So it says the 2026 operating budget includes 15,000 for chamber-related projects. Approval of the sponsorship for the Your Region, Your Voice would reduce the allocation. I understand that it could be allocated from a different budget line item, but I just not sure why we would. If we have it allocated to the chamber, then it should come out of that chamber funding, in my opinion. So that's just my thought on the motion, but.
Yeah, Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Language on that. I was gonna bring that up before he raised up his hand, and yeah, we have the money there in the budget for it. I don't think we should be touching another budget line item that we might need for another organization or something else later on. So we already have that allocated for them. That's what we use.
Okay, thank you.
And my only, Madam Mayor, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking here. So this wouldn't hinder the chamber coming back for the rest of the money at different times for the different projects, correct? Like, because we have that 15,000 allocated, so they could come back and say, okay, now we need money for the chili cook-off or for the other events planned throughout the year.
Through to administration, want to answer that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that would be correct. From the discussions we had last year, I believe that was the way it was intended.
Well, if there's no other discussion, I will move. Is there any, no more?
Any discussion? No, everybody's good? Make your motion, Councillor
Okay,
Schrin.
I will move that we purchase a table for $1,500 for a table of 8 and to support the, is that correct? The
Yeah, sponsorship level.
sponsorship level, 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay. that's
Any questions from council on the motion? No? All right, all in favor? Oh, sorry, CAO Winfrey just had his hand up.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just for clarity, we are going to use the $15,000 fund that's in the budget for this. Correct. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Okay, motion on the floor to go with the sponsorship level 1,500. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, next, request FCSSA Northeast Gathering 9-hole golf scramble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attaches an event poster from the Family and Community Support Services Association of Alberta and Bonnyville and District FCSS inviting council to the President's Impact Invitational 9-hole golf scramble being held on Thursday, May 28th, 2026 at the Bonnyville Golf and Country Club. The recommendation is that the council advise administration if they would like to register for the FCSS AANE President's Impact Invitational 9-hole golf scramble, and if so, if the number of golfers to register. That was a mouthful.
Okay, thank you. Council, are we in support of supporting this event? If so, sorry, I'm reading and talking at the same time. Yes?
And just for council's awareness, it's $57 per individual for 9 holes, a cart, game and prizes, as well as a power cart for 2 people per cart.
Okay, so I think if we're in support, we'll let you know, and then whoever can golf, we can just have administration send an email out. Okay, so are we in support of this event? Yes? Okay. Do you want some sort of, we should have some sort of motion.
Should have a motion just as provided there is a recommendation.
Okay, so a motion would be to attend this golfing event.
Do we know who the president is?
Councillor Johnson?
I'll make the motion that to attend the FCSS AA golf scramble that's happening. And we will discuss who wants to go send out a doodle poll at $57 a person. And it's for a good cause too, because we're the regional hosts. So it's good for us to be out there and representing too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? That's carried. All right, let's move on to committee reports. I think we'll start with Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. April 11th, I attended the hospital gala. April 13th to the 15th, I was at the Alberta Seniors and Community Housing Association convention in Edmonton. April 17th, virtual meeting of the Alberta Municipalities Health and Social Wellbeing Committee. April 20th, library board meeting. We had a fulsome discussion on Bill 28 at that meeting. April 21st, Governance and Priorities Committee meeting. April 23rd, FCSS board meeting. April 27th, 28th, yesterday, I attended AB Muni's engagement sessions with Councillor Sharoon. A key topic of discussion was FCSS advocacy, so I was very happy that he invited me to attend those in my capacity as the FCSS AA president. And in that role, I also participated in conference planning discussions for the annual conference, webinar related to Alberta supports and the relationship between those offices and FCSS programs, member webinar regarding bylaw review, as well as a regular touch point meeting with ADM Jen Anderson. And that is all for me.
On the 10th of April, I attended the Mandatory Protection of Privacy Act for Public. On the 9th, I attended the public forum. On the 11th, the Bonnyville Health Foundation Gala. On April 12th to the 15th, the ASHA Convention in Edmonton for our Lakeland Lodge and Housing. On the 16th, I attended a Lakeland Lodge and Housing meeting in Coal Lake. On the 17th, I had a chamber BSN. On the 21st, along with some council members, we wished Reeve Barry Kalinsky a happy birthday and went over to the MD office. That same afternoon, we had our governance and priorities. On the 22nd of April, I had Lakeland Lodge and Housing Foundation, and on the 27th, I had a C2 board meeting with being the director for Towns East for AB Munis. On the 23rd, I attended a finance and economy meeting, followed by a regular board meeting on the 24th, and on the 27th and 28th, membership visit and engagement sessions with the team from AB Munis.
All righty, on April 8th, I was at the C2 to sign checks. On April 11th, the Bonnyville Health Foundation Gala was very well put on again. 15th, signing checks again at the C2. The 16th, an Alberta Winter Games meeting. I swear we're almost done. On the 20th of April, a library meeting, the GNP meeting on the 21st, a Lakeland Lodge and Housing meeting on the 22nd, an additional Alberta Winter Games meeting on the 24th, had the C2 meeting on the 27th. Today I was at the Nelson Lumber Building helping the Alberta Winter Games crew load up the semis to get them out of town. So we're getting really close. And that is all for me.
Yeah. Okay, so for myself, from April 8th to the 10th, I attended a small little conference in Vegreville called Local to Global, the Eastern Trade Corridor. Quite a few municipal elected officials, MLAs, ECDEV officers, organizations, talking about how we build up the Eastern Trade Corridor and how important it is between Alberta and our southern counterparts in the U.S., specifically actually Texas, and it was actually quite interesting. And then while I was there, we also had an AGO meeting, and then on the 10th, I hurried back with Reeve Kalinsky and CAO Darren Sandbeck with the BRFA. We met with MLA Sear to talk about all the changes with EHS. On April 11th, attended the Bonnyville Health Foundation Gala. On the 13th, I had a meeting with ABMA in regards to our Force Franco project, working out some of the details there. April 14th to the 17th, I attended the Economic Development of Alberta Conference. Interesting conference. It's a really great networking conference, but also the sessions were really good, and they really centered a lot around AI, data centers, and a lot about energy infrastructure. So, you know, if you're a municipality, if you think you're going to be getting a big project coming in, are you ready on the infrastructure side as far as power? So, lots of talk around those topics there. On the 22nd, I attended the Dr. B Science Fair. Just want to congratulate all the winners. There's some really smart kids out there, and it was a lot of fun. I always enjoy going to that one. On the 23rd, I had a BRFA meeting. And then on the 23rd, I ripped over to Edmonton with Mayor Mattice. I had a meeting with, or through NAGO, we had a meeting with Minister Dreeshen regarding Highway 28. We focused a lot of the discussion on how we're going to be moving the needle across the finish line. So how are we going to get this, the full Highway 28 project across the finish line, which is money into the capital budget. So it was, all in all, it was a really great conversation. On the 27th, we had a C2 meeting. Just want to point out that in the field house, you're going to see some big ass fans. That's literally what they're called. Some really big fans. We're going ahead. You're going to see a lot of activity there in the next couple of months. AC is going to start going in. We're changing out some boilers. Ice is coming out. So lots of activity around the center in the next couple of months. And then in the evening, I had a BRFA Fire Chiefs meeting. I just want to let council know that through strategic planning with the board, we identified that with the growth of the BRFA and the changes going from, you know, starting out as a fire authority, we are now fully integrated into three pillars: communication, EMS, and fire. So we are going to be looking at renaming the BRFA. It has gone through the organization, so you might hear chatter within the community. We're getting input from within the organization, and we'll be changing the name there. And then I had an executive meeting for ABMA today, and that's it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I personally wouldn't call our fans the way you did. Maybe big boned, but that's about it.
It's legit the name of the company.
Oh,
All right, April 11th.
joke fell flat.
I wanted that one on tape. April 11th, hospital gala. April 13th, community policing meeting. April 15th, the intermunicipal SDAB meeting. The 16th, I am enrolled in the elected officials education program for regional collaboration. That is a good program. I'm really enjoying that. The 21st, we went over with some of the other counselors to say happy birthday to Reeve Kolinsky. Also on the 21st, I want to say thank you to Renee for 30 years of being here. And so that was wonderful. We got some cake out of that, so that was nice. Also on 21st, governance priority. And then 21st again, we had an RCMP open house here in council chambers. The 23rd, BRFA meeting. Also on the 23rd, I also had another elected officials education program, the same one. 27th, we had the BRFA chief officers meeting. And actually, we also had Alberta Munis come before this meeting and give us a little presentation there, their administration staff. So thanks to Dana and Angela, for coming and giving us a lot more of an insight into how Alberta Munis works. That's all I have.
All right, so on April the 8th, we had the Bonnyville Museum AGM and irregular board meeting. And we just recently hired a new manager, Kiera Malashewski, who's a local lady who worked at the museum a few years ago as a summer student, I believe it was. So I'd like to welcome her on board, and now they're busy getting the students hired for the summer. April the 9th, I attended the forum. April the 11th, I attended the Health Gala Foundation, the Bonnieville Health Foundation Gala. April the 13th, I had an Ohana Center meeting. Oh, pardon me. I wrote that down twice. April the 18th, I was at the United Church Hoedown. I got thrown in jail again. Thank you to Tammy for bailing me out. I might have been in there for a while. April the 21st, we had Renee's 30th anniversary, governance and priorities meeting, and then I attended the open house for police and community engagement here at council chambers. And April the 23rd, I attended the FCSS board meeting. That's all for me.
I had my final FCSS board meeting as a lay member, and I will be joining both those committees as a counselor. And on the 24th, I did my orientation with our CAO.
Yes, thank you. All right, okay, let's move on.
Pardon me, Madam Mayor.
Yes?
I would like to, just if I could, Madam Mayor, just take a moment here to apologize to the MD. I had, on March 28th, I had stated to, when asked by Madam Mayor, inquiring about why the MD was leaving the ISDABS and the JRBS boards, I had indicated that it was due to cost savings. However, I've since learned that that was an inaccurate statement, and I'd like to apologize to council, as well as I'd like to apologize to the MD for that misinformation that was provided. And I would refer that if anyone wanted to know what the actual statement was, to contact the MD and find out from them and their CAO. So I'd like to apologize to their CAO. He did provide me with context, and I did not provide it to council accurately.
Thank you. Thank you, CAO Winfrey. Okay, correspondence, we have a letter, notice of service closure, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Collaborative. We have a proclamation. Whereas Dragonfly Counseling and Support Center provided support to over 1,500 clients last year, including 61% minors, 38% First Nation, Métis, and Inuit clients, and 99% of clients identifying with a mental health concern, demonstrating the significant and ongoing need for trauma-informed prevention, education, counseling, and system navigation supports in our region. And whereas communities play an essential role in creating environments where survivors are believed, supported, and treated with dignity while working collectively toward a future free from violence, the town of Bonnieville does hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 to be Sexual Violence Awareness Month. Okay, next under correspondence, we have our business licensing report. Letter from Minister Williams regarding the assessment model review and our organization funding up to April 21st. Any questions on any of the correspondence? No? All right, we do, any questions for administration? No? Couple items in camera. I'll get a motion to move into camera, please. Councillor Blanchette.
I'll move